what you've been missing. Me. Yeah. Hey girl, whoever you've been kissing, it ain't me. I got that love medicinal. I make you feel invincible. I'm more than recreational. I'm what you need. I'll be your smooth ride, that late night, your walk to white high. I'll be your first time, that's so right. Get you falling in love at the end of the night. That good is, that long trip, that sugar on your lips, that favorite habit, gotta have it, you can't quit. I got your fix. I'll be there, that never let you down. The one you quit when no one is around. I'll pick you up and never let you go. Never let you go. Hey girl, he don't get you then never. So leave, oh just leave. Listen, baby girl, let me make you feel better. Please, I'm what you need. I'll be your smooth ride, that late night, your walk to white high. I'll be your first time, that's so right. Get you falling in love at the end of the night. That good is, that long trip, that sugar on your lips, that favorite habit, gotta have it, you can't quit. I got your fix. I'll be there, that never let you down. The one you quit when no one is around. I'll pick you up and never let you go. Never let you go.
All right, folks, welcome. We're back here in Charlotte. This is Sports Talk with Chris Heidel. This is Chris and Adam. We're down here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're on it for the next from 8 to 10 tonight, previewing the ACC. That's the Mustang that my dad has in the garage. The other Mustang.
Yeah.
Real horsepower.
Yeah.
Taking on Clemson Tigers, who are basically a familiar foe here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area for the ACC Championship. We'll talk to, in a couple minutes, the new guy, the head coach of, you probably know this guy from his days at Delaware. You know, that's Coach Casey Keeler will be joining us hopefully by telephone in a few minutes. You know, the new coach of Temple, you know, back in the Philadelphia area. So we can't wait to speak to him on my telephone here tonight. You know, he came in, he got hired over Sunday, came in during the week, Adam. So, yeah, what's your take on Coach Keeler going back to Philadelphia?
Well, when I heard the news, I liked it, and it should be interesting. You know, coming from Conference USA now, San Houston State now to the American Athletic Conference in Temple.
Yeah. If you just heard the song in the beginning of the show, we have this gentleman coming on around 9:45 tonight, Chris Lane, a country singer who played his college baseball at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. And basically when he got hurt playing baseball, he picked up a guitar and started singing songs. So him and his brother, who is a twin brother, Chad, they did a band. He'll be here tomorrow in Charlotte, playing at the ACC Fan Fest down there across the street from the home of the Charlotte Knights down there. So we're waiting for Coach Keeler to give us a call here. So in the meantime, let's play some interviews here, so we don't get you on. We have the game coming up in Indianapolis this weekend between Oregon and Penn State. And I had a chance to talk to Dylan Gabriel, who is the quarterback for Oregon. You probably saw this on our page, but we're going to play it now. So here is my phone quick question and answer with the Oregon quarterback.
Go to you.
Hey, Dylan, this is Chris Heidel from Herbertson Radio in Baltimore. Congratulations on making to Indianapolis. You went from Central Florida to Oklahoma to Oregon. What did you learn on your path to Oregon as a quarterback from those different systems?
Man, a bunch.
I think there's so much on the football side, but also in life that you get older, you get wiser. When you are, around more, naturally you're gonna, gain more knowledge. And I've been lucky and blessed to be around great people and just to learn from them. I've tried to be a sponge everywhere I've been, but I've also tried to just pour my everything into wherever I was in that moment. So I think that's allowed me to, get better every year, every single version of myself. I think you look from my freshman year to now, just the type of player I am. And I think that's more than just statistically. I think that goes to show of a leader, a person, a player, the way I throw it, all that. I think we're in an interesting time that's all about results, and so many people talk about the process but aren't patient enough. So, I think if you look at my body of work, a guy who's eager and wants to get better, but has had that time to develop and work in that way. I think you see it, over the time. So, if there ever is, something to go and say about a journey, and time to develop, I think, I'm a product of that.
Joe Freeman will go to you for the final question.
All right, folks. That was Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback for Oregon, who spent his time in Oklahoma and Central Florida. Let's bring this next guest in. He's familiar to our show. I met this guy way back in 2007 when I started doing this, our podcast, our show, and all that stuff. Music in here for him. So we've got to welcome home, Coach Keeler, who's now the head coach of Temple. So, Coach, I'm playing that John Sebastian song here. Welcome back. Yes. Welcome back to Philadelphia, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, no, it's great to be back. Been going over a decade, and it feels really good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So just talk about your whirlwind, because we were just talking off the air here for a minute. Your team down there in beautiful Texas. You were there for 11 years. You came from Delaware. We know what happened in Delaware. You came there. You turned that program around. You won a national championship down there. What was the feeling like to get a phone call from Temple saying, "Hey, would you like to come back to Philadelphia?" And you're thinking to yourself, maybe. What's going on here?
For a long time, and so I've got a lot of calls. Would you be interested? And sure, I'll talk. And so, the Temple headhunter called, and the difference with this was 3 days later, the athletic director was in Texas to meet me. So it became pretty evident that there was a lot of interest there. And an hour conversation turned into a 3-hour conversation. And in the middle of it, I'm Zooming, FaceTiming with the president, John Fry, and he's watching the Eagles game, cheering them on, which is a good sign when you have your president hollering at the TV because the Eagles are on. And on my wife's birthday, we came to terms, and she cried most of her birthday. To be able to come back to her grandchildren, and we have 3 grandchildren in Wilmington, Delaware, so it's awesome. So it's a great opportunity. They really sold me on the fact that obviously Temple's a top 100 in the nation university, and to keep the brand or make the brand even stronger, we need to have great football. And so they're all bought in. This is a institution that realizes that football can only help it, and it's exciting because we have the resources to do some damage in the conference. And I'm excited to be part of the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I do have to ask you, being in Philadelphia, you got all these sports town, this big sports town with the 76ers, and the Phillies are doing well. 76ers are struggling right now. The Eagles are basically being Eagles, trying to win an NFC title and go back to the Super Bowl. And you're basically almost like the city of Pittsburgh. You're like the fourth fiddle, in a sports town. How do you get somebody from Philadelphia going, there's college football at Lincoln Financial Field, and is a good affordable price, and a coach is very excited about their program?
Yeah, it's a pro town. There's no question it's a pro town, but that's okay. There's so many Temple alums. There's so many Temple the people that are connected to Temple in some way, and will come and watch us. And so that's what we have to worry about. But it's a sports town now too.
Mhm.
I know it's a pro town, but it's also a sports town. They love their sports, and we get Temple moving, they will follow.
Exactly. Well, I was looking at your schedule for next year before Adam asked you a question, and I got to say something. You got Oklahoma on your schedule next year. That's going to be a very tough game, and I hope if you folks are listening and watching Coach Keeler, get your butt out to Philadelphia and to Lincoln Financial Field and pack that place, because that's a great place to watch football. And Oklahoma does not come to the East Coast that often.
It's a great opportunity. I'm sure Oklahoma got very nervous as soon as I was hired. But again, those are the games you love. We played BYU last year up at BYU, and it's a 7-point game going into the fourth quarter. So you get in those games, and sometimes you find a way to slow their tempo down. You make a play, also they get a little tight. Those games can be won. You have to have a little luck, but also you just got to play them the right way.
Yeah. Before Adam ask a question, I got to ask you. I'm looking at the future schedule, and I was hoping that you were going to stay at Sam Houston State, because now Delaware is in Conference USA, and I'm thinking somebody will love to go back to Delaware and just run them out of that stadium, just to make you feel happy, Yeah.
Well, they treat me pretty well. I mean, this was inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Right. Exactly.
This year, so that was. Got that question in my press conference, and I said, "Yeah, if you guys want to give me 10% of the gate, let's go. Let's find a way to play next year." But I think it would be a good game.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd get a great crowd, and you have 2 group of 5 schools right across the river from each other. Why not do it?
Right, and Delaware, if you're listening right now, put them on the schedule.
Thank you.
Okay, put them on the schedule.
Thank you.
All right, Adam, you got a question?
I sure do. So, Coach, what's it mean for you to transition from Conference USA when you were at Sam Houston State now over to the American Athletic Conference with Temple?
Well, Sam Houston is a little bit like most of the Conference USA schools in that we're on the lower end of resources, in the group of 5. Where I'm in the AAC and at Temple, and we're at the higher end of resources. I called a staff meeting for all the people that help us in recruiting, and they all just keep on walking in. I'm like, how many people do we have here? And so it's so much different than where I came from, because obviously the resource level in the AAC is much different than in Conference USA.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. Because it's like it's apples and oranges pretty much.
Well, the TV contract is so much different in the AAC, and that's one of the reasons I came to Temple.
Mm-hmm.
was the conference. We played Rice, and we got a chance to beat them. Last year we beat a Mountain West team, we beat an AAC team, and a Sun Belt team. So we got a flavor of everything last year.
Mm-hmm.
But is the place to be in terms of resources.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, I was looking at the schedule next year. I'm just looking ahead, and your first game of the year is taking on a guy up in UMass who was a coach at Maine. Coach H, and I know he just became the head coach at UMass, so it's going to be a UMass Temple game, but it's actually Delaware versus Maine, if you want to say that.
And Coach did a phenomenal job. And so those are the games that we should have. I mean, they're very similar to us in terms of how they're trying to transition this football program back into being successful. So it's going to be a big opener for us. It's a game, obviously, mentally, we feel we should be going and win because, we're in the AAC. But it's going to be a really good football game. I'm sure there's a lot of excitement up there with the coaches that they just hired.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of respect for you, and I was so glad that you got the job at Temple, because now I'm thinking, I'm going to spend my Saturdays up there with Coach Keeler. That's what I feel like doing.
And he can eat a lot of Philly cheesesteaks too, Chris.
Yeah, we can take him to. I know a good place up there in Philadelphia. My buddy took me there one time, and it's right across the street from Lincoln Financial Field, and it's like a blue gas station, but it's actually a big cheesesteak place. And he says to me, he goes, I'll take 2 whiz with cheese. I'm like, excuse me, I'm from New York. What is the whiz and cheese? It's cheese whiz. I'm thinking the guy was going on the bathroom on my sandwich. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Yeah.
Oh, I believe it.
Hey, I think you would. I think when you got back there, you say, hey, you told your wife, hey, here's your birthday dinner. Yeah.
That's why you run the Rocky Stairs. You know, too, Coach.
Oh yeah, the Rockies there.
Mm.
That's true. So, what is the plan for you now? Because I know you just got done with, you know, you were there, you had your press conference, then you had National Signing Day. That wasn't the stuff you guys did. But what do you have to work on to get ready for the first game, like the spring game, come up in the springtime?
Yeah, so the first thing we did was we met with every player. You know, I wanted to get a feel for, like, you know, who they are. And I also wanted them to be able to, you know, hear me, see me, touch me, and let them know, like, where I was coming from. And so we had that, and now we're about to put a staff together. So I've been spending a lot of time, you know, going through video of potential coordinators, because, you know, putting together staff is like a jigsaw puzzle. And I did bring the staff from Sam Houston with me because it just wasn't, you know, a little bit regionally, it didn't make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm working through some things right now, trying to get staff together. And then after that, you know, it's all about the portal.
Right.
You know, we have the portal opening up. And then after that, we'll bring the guys back for winter workouts. So there's a rhythm to the season as a football coach. And right now I'm in a little bit of an unusual situation because I'm hiring so many new coaches. But after that, then we'll get into that rhythm of winter workouts and spring ball and summer workouts. And then before you know it, we're playing UMass.
That's true. Exactly. Well, Coach, you and your family a happy holidays. I know this is probably an exciting holiday now because you're back home, and I know the last time we had you on the show, you were at the beach at Delaware.
Yeah.
So now you don't have to go anywhere. That's awesome.
Well, there you go. That's
Awesome.
Cool.
I gave the recruiting staff off. They got all their work done. We're supposed to meet tomorrow morning. I'm like, got it all done. We'll see you on Monday. So they were all excited. It gives me a chance to hop down to see the
One more time.
One more time. Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
exactly. Well, safe travels down there, and thank you so much for being a friend of the show. And
Yes.
we'll keep in touch with you. We'll love to have you on during the next fall, and keep an eye on Temple football.
Anytime.
All right, Coach. Have a great holiday.
Thanks,
All right,
Coach.
see you guys.
All right, see you. Bye.
That's the new coach for Temple University, Coach Casey Keeler, who
Yeah.
we love having on the show.
Yeah.
One of our favorite personalities, and Chris, there's a lot of new teams from different conference. There's a lot of teams
Yeah.
that have changed conferences, from the past year, from last year, this year, that are playing on conference championship weekend. You have Oregon coming from the Pac-12 now to the Big Ten. They're playing in Indianapolis against Penn State. You have obviously SMU, who came from the said that at the beginning of the year. So
Right. Exactly. So I'm trying to get the next guy up on the phone here. That's why I'm trying to. We're doing rapid fire here.
yes, we are.
Yeah, let's bring in this. Hold on, let's play another video here real quick. Oh, there he is. Hey, Coach Fleming, how you doing? Good. Thanks for coming back on tonight. You're on the show live here. You're down in Georgia. We're here in Charlotte for the ACC Championship game. So, yes. So, thanks for coming on. Just talk about your team. I'm sorry I haven't been on the teleconference calls this fall because I've been so busy with other things. But I'm pretty excited that you guys are 11-2. You won your first postseason game back in 1985. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. I neglected you all.
Don't sweat. We're live.
Yes, we're live. We're live. Yeah. So, anyway, so talk about the season. You guys look like you're 11-2. You're heading down to Mercer for tomorrow for 2:00. So, what do you see in a team like Mercer? You never played a team from the SoCo division before.
So, I mean, we've been studying them all week long. I think they're well coached, good football team. I try to evaluate them for what we're seeing in their conference, and it's the only unknown. When you look at them, they're 10-2 record and conference champions. What I don't know is, the competition between Southern Conference and CAA.
Mhm.
We all know the CAA. We always brag about it, that every game you play in that conference could go either way. It's a preparation for championships at all times. We got 4 teams that obviously were admitted into the tournament and only 2 left standing. So that's going to be the interesting piece. I was looking at, conference, versus conference. And I think CAA's had 4 wins versus 3 there. It's going to be an interesting game, but we got to settle it on the field tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, and hopefully the weather will be nice down there. I know we've been dealing with a lot of the cold streak up here, but they're playing in the same weather you have. So is it a little bit warmer down there in Georgia?
Mostly, it's probably which is like a day at the beach for us. So our guys will probably go out with no shirts in the game, and hopefully we'll put shirts on for the game.
Yeah. So what's it like winning a CAA championship for the first time? You split it with Richmond, who's now leaving the conference to go to Patriot League. So what's it like getting a championship trophy?
Well, it was the fabulous experience for all of us. It's been a long-year mission for me and my staff, and to be able to get it done, quite special, not only to us in the building, but obviously the island out there nationally, and as champions, it feels great, and we hope to keep on representing tomorrow, doing it the right way.
Exactly. Adam, you have a question?
I do. So first of all, congratulations on the championship in the CAA. And just talk about how good of a conference the CAA is, this year with so many teams advancing to the FCS playoffs.
Yeah, I think that the depth of our conference is always, incredibly interesting and cool. I mean, I think you look top to bottom. As I said before, it really doesn't matter records when you're playing a CAA game. Anybody can beat anybody. And we've been in very close battles that it could have gone the other way. But thank goodness, we've been able to find a way to win the close ones, and that's what put us in position to represent the conference in the postseason tournament and give us an opportunity to carry the championship trophy.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the changes in the CAA? Now you have Richmond leaving, and basically now it's basically you guys and Towson and Bryant University and North Carolina A&T and Campbell. Do you like the way the conference is now?
No difference to me. It's not my job to put the conference together. I know that we're going to get 8 conference opponents every year, and those guys are going to be, as I said, very tough out. And a 1-11 team and beating, Towson in 2014, and they just come off a national championship. So I think it's a fabulous conference. I think Joey D does a nice job, putting things together. We're continuing to grow it. And, the big thing for us right now is to take whoever's on our schedule and try to prepare and win each and every Saturday. And we got a little taste for it now, so hopefully we can keep it going.
Exactly. Because I've been watching you from a long time. The first time I met you down in Baltimore at M&T Bank Stadium, and you've been working your tail off to turn this program around. Because I know that you had some dark years, like 1 in 10, and and people are like, I've been reading stuff like, hey, is Coach Fleming going to get fired? And I'm like, no, I don't think he's going to get fired. The guy's going to work his tail off, and right now it's benefiting that you're working your butt off, and it's working.
This country, Vincent Brown, who I think is a quality coach, only gave him 2 years to be able to get the thing turned, and that's just not. It's not right. It's not right. It's not fair. It took us 5 years to be able to get over the hump to a winning season, and then since then we've been able to go ahead and put together a nice little string of winning seasons and do some historic stuff that hasn't been done at URI in quite some time.
Right.
So when you get into hiring coaches that you can go in and flip immediately right now, unless you're loaded with a lot of money in the NIL and all that good stuff. But that's not our level of football.
Exactly. What is your take on? I know I don't know if you coached against. I know you coached against Delaware a lot, and they're moving. They're leaving to Conference USA. But there's some guy named Coach Keeler who's now head coach at Temple. Did you get a chance to coach against him at Delaware?
I didn't coach with Casey, but we've known each other for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was at Rhode. Really good job. I'm not sure if he was at Delaware when I was at Villanova way back when. But either way, Casey's a quality coach. I'd like to see him back up in the Northeast. And our battles with Delaware are historic. And I thought it was very disappointing last year. This past year, we thought we had him. We lost our quarterback early. And we lost the game by 3. So that one still sticks in the craw a little bit because we wanted to be able to take them down last time we got a chance to play them.
Yeah. And you have one more question?
I do. So, did you have any New England clam chowder after your CAA championship when you clinched it?
What's that?
Did you have any New England clam chowder after you won the title, the ACC?
Yeah. What you got to understand is that in Rhode Island, and Rhode Island chowder is clear broth, and so when you're in Rhode Island, you got to give it a shot for the Rhode Island chowder. It's outstanding. But no, I didn't have that. I didn't have that after the championship. I had a couple of cold beers and went to bed.
Smart one, Coach.
Well, that's a good one.
Smart
That's a good one.
Coach.
Well, Coach, I know you got to get ready for tomorrow's game at 2:00 against Mercer. Keep the good times rolling and representing the CAA, and hope to talk to you hopefully in the title game. Hopefully, never know.
Sounds like a good one. All right, guys, I appreciate it.
All right, talk to you soon. See you.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye. All right, that's Coach Jim Fleming, the head coach at Rhode Island. They'll be heading to Mercer tomorrow to play the Mercer Bears in a second round of the SPS championship game. Yeah, the championship second round of the playoffs.
And you can watch that game on ESPN Plus.
Exactly.
So it should be a real interesting game. And we're going to have we're going to talk sports, but we're also going to talk some country music later on at 9:45 with Chris Lane, who is performing at ACC Fan Fest tomorrow. He's toured with Florida Georgia Line and Brad Paisley, Eli Young, so Brantley Gilbert. So it'll be kind of cool, to talk some country music on our show for change. Later on tonight. So if you know where to find us.
That works. Let's get back to the ACC championship game. That's why we're down here in beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a little colder than we're used to.
Yes.
Basically, today was in the 40s, but for me, it's like a heat wave.
Yeah.
Because coming up from Maryland when it was like 19 degrees this morning.
Yeah.
We had a chance to sit down and have some. We had a chance to talk to the 2 coaches in the ACC championship game. Coach from SMU.
Coach Rhett Lashley, who was named earlier this week, was named the ACC Coach of the Year. Kind of cool in your inaugural year in the conference, and you win Coach of the Year, and you're in Charlotte representing the state of Texas. So earlier today, Chris and I were at his press conference, and here is the question that I asked Coach Rhett Lashley about his star quarterback, Kevin Jennings, who is undefeated in his starts.
Here it is.
Been so good during this stretch, leading here to Charlotte in the ACC championship game.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Kevin, he's what's cool for us is the whole country got introduced to Kevin this year. A little bit last year when he won the championship game for us, but we kind of knew he was special his freshman year. He played against Tulsa and Memphis in some critical moments because of injuries as a true freshman and showed that the moment wouldn't be too big for him. Again, what he did last year against Tulane. I just think it's been really impressive how his first start this year was at home against our rival, TCU. And he just played incredibly efficient. He played within himself. He trusted his teammates. He didn't go out there and try to win the game by himself. And then his second start was against Florida State in our first conference game. And I think that game you saw him really start to take the next step. He had some big throws to R.J. Maryland and Rashard Smith. And then he goes on the road against Louisville and played what was arguably maybe his best game of the year still, and just played really, really well. And so he's just proven that the moment's not too big for him. He'll make mistakes. I mean, see the Duke game, he'll make mistakes, and he just keeps playing. But even more importantly, after the Duke game, see the Pitt game of how he responded. So he believes in himself. He believes in the guys around him. We felt like he was the right answer for this year's team, but also for the future, because we felt like he would just get better and better and better each week, and he would allow us to build an identity around him on our offense. And fortunately for us, all those things have been true.
All right, Adam, nice question.
Thank you. You know, I think if Kevin Jennings for a full year with SMU, I think he could have challenged Cam. I know this may sound crazy, folks, but I think he could have challenged Cam Ward as ACC Player of the Year, because all the games he started, he played some really good ones. You look at you look at the game versus Louisville. I mean, and especially your first game against your arch rival TCU, and then the defending ACC champ Florida State. Those are two good games, and he has done a lot of good things. And Chris, we saw Coach Rhett lastly here in Charlotte back in July at ACC kickoff, and I enjoyed talking with them. And to be honest, and I don't think anyone expected him to be here. Now, the first week of December. I mean, it's what he did. In your first year in the ACC, that's saying something. It's telling teams, it's like, folks, we're here, and you better take notice of us, because you never know, Chris. This could be a regular stop for him, in the future of the conference.
Yeah, exactly. And you got Cal and Stanford, who basically are, Stanford and Cal. Cal did better than Stanford.
Yes.
Stanford was trying to figure out what they were doing, but they'll do a good job. It's basically, it was tough for those teams to get used to the new travel plans, because when you're so used to being on the West Coast, and now you got to go fly across the continent over to North Carolina or Georgia or whatever. It's really hard. So I'm trying to load something up here for you. We're gonna talk about the Big Ten championship game between the don't call on the horseshoe. People in Baltimore don't like that.
It's called. You just said Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah, Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah.
My girlfriend does not like. Her family does not like the. Because they're old Baltimore Colt guys.
And
I'm sorry. Speaking of Baltimore Colts, I think that's kind of wrong what they did to them.
Yeah.
The city of Baltimore should have kept that great franchise. Because of the but they had no offense, they had a drunk.
That's Chris. That's true. Yes.
Yeah, they had a drunk. So we're waiting for Mike Gross to join us. He'll be joining us at 8:35 in 4 minutes, and at 8:45 we'll have Michelle Gardner. She is down in beautiful heart of the Texas, Dallas, at the Jerry World, getting ready for tomorrow's 12 noon kickoff, 11 Central, between Arizona State and Iowa State playing each other in the Big 12 championship game. So championship Saturday, folks. So basically, if you're not doing anything and you don't have to go to work, like we're here for the ACC championship game, we're going to get up tomorrow morning, have a nice free breakfast in this beautiful establishment we're at.
Yes.
We were there this time last summer.
Yes.
And then we're going to figure out what we're doing the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, folks, if you love college football like we do, get your favorite food, your favorite beverages, snacks, and just, eat.
It's going to be a great day for football. So let me see who's.
In Conference USA, you have Western Kentucky versus Jacksonville State. I don't think we expected that at the beginning of the year. We talked about the Big Ten already in the ACC.
Well, there is a score update. Army just scored. Matt Chuckinelli is at home watching the game. So he said it's towards the Army's up 7-0 on Tulane. We'll bring that up in a few minutes, but I got to try and play this classic clip of, these two schools played each other for the first time back in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
And I think somebody we were just talking about off the air was behind the mic of this classic game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try to bring it up here for a minute before we get Mike Gross to join us, our good friend from Lancaster. He's actually Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He's actually out in Indianapolis. Probably not freezing his baguettes off.
No.
No.
It's called,
No. It's just, folks. This week has been a weird week for weather.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you had, I know we have some friends down in Tallahassee, like Danielle and Priscilla, and it was 27 degrees this morning in Tallahassee.
And Chris, you don't see that
No.
in December. I mean,
Everybody goes south, And by the way, if my parents are watching, hi from Jamaica.
Am
I a little salty about that?
No.
Love you, Mom. Love you.
Love you, Chris's mom. And it's called, when Penn State and Oregon beat each other in the Rose Bowl.
Well, let's play this classic. This is Carter, the running back from Penn State, who was the #1 pick by the Bengals, and he kind of fizzed down afterwards.
Yes.
So here is, I think this is the legendary Keith Jackson on the call.
Go for it.
So here it is. Oh, what the hell happened here? Hold on. Something. Why is this not working?
Isn't technology wonderful, folks?
Hold on, folks. We're trying to. Anyway, we'll play that in a minute. We're trying to figure out how why the audio is not working. So let's bring in my question to the head coach at SMU. I asked him. He was a quarterback at Arkansas. Then he went to Auburn, and then he was at Miami for 2 years before he became the head coach at SMU. And I asked him about him being a quarterback at Arkansas. Is that going to be helping him? With him being a head coach, because he played in a tough SEC, and he was in Auburn and all that stuff, and that's basically almost like a pro league. So here's my question to Coach Coach
Red Lashley.
So here it is.
So we're not trying to be an SEC school. We're trying to be a really good ACC school, because that's good enough. So, but I do appreciate the question. What did help me is, being at Arkansas as a player, and then being at Arkansas as a GA in 2006, we had like Darren McFadden, Felix Jones. We went and played for a conference championship that year as a young coach, and then a few years later, in 2010, we won a national championship at Auburn with a guy like Cam Newton, and so, I've been on those big stages. I've been blessed to coach in 3 conference championship games in the SEC, 1 in the American, 1 in the Sun Belt. So, been blessed to coach in 2 national championship games, and so when you get those experiences, everything with experience, you gain a little bit of confidence and knowledge for the future. And so being on that stage and in those moments surely has helped. It didn't really have anything to do with the league we were in, just happened to be the league I was in. So yeah, I mean, and then being in a league like that, I think probably even more to your question, is where every week you got to play well or you're going to get beat. Like, it doesn't matter who you're playing, top of the league, bottom of the league, every week you got to play well. You got to expect to win 1 possession games, which happens in our league here in the ACC quite a bit. So all of those things and your experiences over time come together and definitely help.
All right. So great question I asked him about his days playing at Arkansas, and plus he was at a offensive coordinator for Mark Richt. And speaking of Mark Richt, we ran into him this afternoon at the ACC Fans Fest in the cold.
In the cold, yeah.
So hopefully he's doing okay, but he's in the cold weather.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, we're still waiting for Mike to join us here. I don't know if he said he got it, so hopefully he remembers what time to log in here. If not, we'll get Michelle on. I know Michelle will be on the phone. Living in maybe we can play a clip here in a minute.
Yeah, and Chris, with all these new teams, in these conference championship games, is there one that you didn't think would get to a conference championship game this year?
I didn't think Arizona State was going to get there, because I didn't think they were that good, but I think they, it was a sleeper team, And we know about our a lot of like our Florida State Seminoles. They've been a sleeper team. So let's bring in this one. I got it right here. So we're still waiting for Mike to join us here.
Yeah.
I know he's probably he said he's out there in Indianapolis, so hopefully he remembers.
Hopefully he remembers.
Yeah. If not, we'll get him on next week. Hopefully it's not a big deal. Yeah. Coming up at the top of the hour at 9:00, we will have our good friends from Clemson. Roundtable discussion with Gary McDaniels from Clemson Sports News and Recruiting, and our good friend Trevor Groves from CUTigers.com. And around 9:30, we'll have Billy Koch, the Providence, Rhode Island Journal beat writer for Rhode Island, because they're heading to Mercer. We'll talk to him about the country singer, good country singer from North Carolina. He'll talk about his Tar Heels. We heard today that the hoodie might be in the
something.
So here is the clip we were trying to play earlier. So here is the legendary. I think this might be Keith Jackson doing this call the last time Oregon and Penn State played each other. This was the Rose Bowl. Why is this not working?
Oh, looks like I said, isn't it?
I know. Yeah.
Hold
on. We're still waiting for why this thing is not working.
I guess that one has no sound.
I guess not. Well, anyway, we'll try to figure this out here shortly. Maybe I could find this one here. Anyway, we're still waiting for Mike to join us, so hopefully maybe we could do the old-fashioned way here. Hold on here, folks. Let me go back to Here we go. Here we go. Let's do the old-fashioned way. We'll bring up the share a screen here.
There you go.
Yeah. Share it. And we'll make it up. Is the legendary Keith Jackson. So let's bring that in. And let's play it. Here it is. Here's Keith Jackson on the call in Pasadena.
And right now we're about to see what a lot of folks bought tickets for. The Penn State offense against the Oregon defense. The ball is at the 16-yard line. It is first down for the Lions with Milne and Tajana Carter lined up in the backfield. Brady Scott is the man in motion. Here's Carter. And breaks it. He's gone. Goodbye. It'll be touchdown Penn State, first play of the ball game. It goes into the books as 83 yards. They had him, they thought, and then he was gone.
I was going to tell you he's explosive, but you can see that. He breaks a tackle of O'Berry, number 4, right in the hole, right here. He breaks the tackle. Everybody else has got a man in their face, and he is not going to be caught from behind. Gained over 1,500 yards rushing, 1,000 yards each of the last 2 seasons.
One of the reasons. Brett Conway for the point. It's good. Oregon held the ball almost 4 minutes. Penn State ran one play, and they lead 7-0.
All right, the legendary Keith Jackson on the call.
That's right, folks.
So let's try to see what's going on here. Hopefully we can get a video here. I'm trying to find out. Army right now, what's this? Army's up 7-0 on the folks at Tulane. Yeah. So let's bring that up real quick here. 7-0 is the score. 3 minutes ago in the first quarter up there at West Point. So we're trying to find the audio for this one. If they had a, let's see here. If I could find it here. Nothing yet, but Temple had a chance for a field goal to get a point, and they kind of botched it. So kind of interesting. So Army's up 7-0 on Tulane. We will have the post-game wrap-up of tonight after the show. We'll tap into the Army press conference.
Yes.
So we'll be on after.
But if you're Night Owls like us, we will have the Army press conference, and I hope you guys have enjoyed, our Knowles report.
Yes.
We've had after each game this year. It's been really cool to be chatting with Danielle Jordan-Kelly and Priscilla Proctor. And Chris, it's called, Florida State got some new
Yes,
new
we're gonna
coordinators.
deep and dive in that next week. We'll be on it next Thursday night at the same time.
Yes, we will.
Next Thursday night.
6 o'clock.
At 6:30. 6:30.
Yeah, 6:30. We will.
Sports Talk with Chris Heidel. We'll talk some ACC Florida State football with you folks. So we'll be on next Thursday night at 6:30. Let me play another interview. Here's Gary, and I'm going to log in shortly. We'll see how that's going to do. Let's bring in our Dabo clips here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first off, let's talk. Let's bring in
Your question.
my question. I talked to Coach Sweeney this afternoon, and let's bring up the. There you go. Yeah, we have a little internet issue here at the hotel, so if it goes going in and out, or we do apologize. It's just the Wi-Fi here.
In technology, wonderful folks.
Yes, so 7-0 Army right now. Started the second quarter. So we're going to play my clip with Coach Sweeney. I asked him a question about him. Right after the Louisville game, what did he do to keep his team, focused on? You never know, he might be able to be back here, and they were. So here is my question to Coach Sweeney.
Hey, Dabo, Chris Heidel from Herbertson Radio in Baltimore. How you doing?
Hey, Chris.
Talk about your game against Louisville. You lost that home game against Louisville. How did you get the team still focused on me possibly being here? And you had a very lucky Syracuse team that beat Miami last week. Are you going to give him a free meal? That's the question.
Well, you just go to the next game. You go to the next game. That's just what we do. And, that's Sunday's still Sunday. Monday's still Monday. Tuesday's Tuesday. You just go to the next game. As a competitor, I'd like to say, again, you don't want to ever lose a game. And these are young people. We're not perfect as coaches. So you pick yourself up. You take ownership. You learn from it. You put your eyes forward and you get back to work and go win the next one. And that's what you do. That's how you get here. But man, I don't think anything was luck with Syracuse. I think they're a good football team, 9-3, and they earned it. That's why you play all the games. Everybody gets 8. And Miami, listen, they had a great year. They lost 2 games. They lost to a really good Georgia Tech team that went 8 overtimes in Athens, right? And then they lost to a 9-3 Syracuse team at Syracuse, and both games were like a touchdown or less. So they've had a great year. It's just hard. They just, lost one more than we did. And but I think they had a great year, and I think they were deserving to be in the playoff. I really do.
All right, that's Coach Sweeney talking to myself this afternoon. So let's bring in our next guest here. She is down in the heart of Texas.
Yeah, and folks, at the beginning of the year, I don't think any of us would have predicted Arizona State and Iowa State to be in Dallas for the Big 12 championship, for the Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship game. And, it should be a real interesting game. And joining us now on the phone, he does a tremendous job as the beat writer for the Arizona Republic, covering. So thanks so much for joining us tonight, and just talk about how cool what Coach Dillingham did to his staff. Because when I heard this news, I thought it was one of the coolest things that any coach has ever done.
Can you hear us, Michelle?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, repeat that again.
I will. So just talk about what Coach Dillingham did for his staff, at the end of the year.
Well, what he did is $200,000 bonus, and that was for winning the 9th game of the season. And he took that bonus and he gave it to 20 of his off-the-field staffers. Not your assistant coaches; they're compensated pretty well, but kind of the little guys behind the scenes.
Oh, that's cool.
I actually got an email from one of those staffers. It's not something Kenny wanted to get out publicly, but it's something that one of the staffers kind of let the media know about. But that's Kenny. He's all about his players and his staff. And like I said, he did not want to get that out. He was actually pretty upset that it did get out.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Well, this is the first time for these two teams to play in a title game, and they've never played each other before. So this is going to be a very interesting game tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern, 11 Central. What's your take on Iowa State? Because Iowa State was not really in the conversation for the Big 12 title game. Stuff through the back door.
Yeah, I think obviously they're a well-coached team. They do a lot of things well. Neither one of these teams was really on anybody's radar. That's what makes it a fun game. And I also think that that's one of the reasons that, when it comes to these stupid CFP rankings, that the Big 12 was getting the short end of the stick. Because I think, if it was Utah, we wouldn't be having this discussion. Or Oklahoma State, to get the 4 seed is not probably happening. So I think what just happened is that your perennial powers like Utah and Oklahoma State, Kansas was supposed to be good. Those teams went by the wayside. Now you've got 2 teams that nobody expected, and especially ASU, they were picked 16th. So maybe that's gotten the perception out there that this is a bad conference just because the powers that were supposed to be at the top are not.
Right.
Which is not fair to the 2 teams that made it here.
Right, exactly. And with this college football playoff, I have a really valid opinion about this. I feel like, looking at the rankings, and to me, it's like, why is Ohio State always at the top? And I feel like, to me, that they're paying somebody underneath the table. No offense to people, but money talks, money walks. That's what I sound like.
Yeah.
Just the whole Boise State. I'm not even saying it's ASU, but Boise State. It's just criminal, okay? Let's call it what it is. When your best game on your schedule is a loss, what planet do you deserve the number 4 seed?
Right.
I'm sorry, it's one common opponent on the schedule. Let's go back to a couple weeks ago when Boise State beat Wyoming by 4.
Mm-hmm.
ASU beat them by 41.
Jeez.
So I don't know.
I know.
That's what it is. And if you're ASU, you're just happy to get in there. But just from a disrespect standpoint, it's too bad that the Big 12 has got this perception.
Yeah, it feels like to me the college football playoff should be called the Big 12 / SEC Challenge with little people behind it. Yeah. Like why do we call it the CAP? Because it seems like this year they're playing with Big 10 money, because now Big 10 has Oregon and Washington. Washington's not even good. Oregon and you got Oregon and USC and UCLA and it's like, come on, people. You're using the old Pac-12 to get more people in the college football playoff, and you didn't care about the Pac-12 2 years ago?
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I like this matchup. I think it'll be a fun matchup.
Mhm.
I think it's a coin toss game. ASU losing Jordan Tyson really hurts. I mean, he was so good. But when you've got Kansas and you've got Iowa State who's the ball all night.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just talk about this big game coming up tomorrow. Iowa State and Arizona State playing down in Jerry World. So you were down there today. How big is that stadium? Because I was down there for the Cotton Bowl years ago, and I was like impressed. That thing looked like I told people it looked like 6 Epcot centers in one. That's how big it is. Okay.
Today. I did not go down to this afternoon, so I have not been down there. So this will actually be my first shot seeing it too. And I've heard a lot of good things about it. ASU, the one thing I can say, they seem to be a team that's just kind of taking in the moment.
Mhm.
They really are appreciating the moment. And the one thing I've been surprised about this team is when you're coming off a year that they had last year, where they were 3-9. You don't know how to win close games. You don't know how to win, period. And yet all they've done is win close games. 6-1 this year in games decided by 8 points or less. So that kind of defies what you would think of a team that's coming off the year that they were coming off of. The fact that they've been able to win the close games and get to this point.
Exactly. And you have a question?
I do. So, what's your overall take on the Big 12 this year, especially with the new teams coming in like yourself and Arizona and Utah, and obviously after a few years not being there?
Talking from a competition standpoint, or are you talking about
A competition standpoint.
Excuse me?
A competition standpoint.
Okay. Well, when you look at the teams that were in the Pac-12, somebody asked me the other day, do you think ASU would be in this position if they were the Pac-12? And I started thinking about it, and I said, well, when you look at what some of the other Pac-12 teams are doing, yeah, they might have, because the only team that's from the Pac-12, the old Pac-12 as we want to call it, that's really doing anything special is Oregon. I mean, UCLA was terrible, USC was terrible, Washington was kind of mediocre, Stanford's not great, Cal is okay, Arizona's terrible. So when you look at the old Pac-12 teams, I think if the ASU was in the Pac-12, I think they would have done pretty well. Again, just think it's a matter of the conference being upside down, and some of the top teams that were supposed to be the top teams are not. But you also have the teams like BYU, ASU, Colorado that have done better than expected.
Yeah, I feel like the Big 12. Like you look at the schedule, look at the teams. Like everybody, they got new coaches next year at West Virginia. Gus Malzahn left to go to Florida State. So it's basically, in West Virginia, you hear stories that some guy named Jimbo Fisher might be going back home, to West Virginia. So I feel like the Big 12 is literally, trying to make an identity in its football now, because you got all the good teams from the Pac-12, and it's sad to see the Pac-12 go. But this year it was pretty hard for me to watch these games because I thought that they were non-conference games. Because I'm like, wait a minute, they're conference games. I'm like, what are they doing? Not used to it yet.
Right, I agree. I'm still disappointed that the Pac-12 ended up the way it did. From a covering the team standpoint, we got spoiled in the Pac-12. I mean, I could get to Salt Lake City direct. I could get to Seattle. I could get to Portland. I could get to the Bay Area in an hour. I could be home by 11 o'clock on a Sunday, and now it takes 2 hours to drive to the airport somewhere. A lot of these Big 12 cities, you've got a stopover somewhere. I actually, when ASU played Oklahoma State, it was terrible weather. We had a game that was postponed for 2 hours at the half. And then I got back to my hotel, and I had a tornado warning and evacuation in the middle of the night at my hotel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was not good.
No.
So from that standpoint, it's rough. I mean, I had to drive from Kansas State from spoiled from the standpoint of the Pac-12 road trips were pretty easy, and you could pretty much get anywhere nonstop, and that's really not the case in the Big 12. So I think from that standpoint, I got a little bit spoiled.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's going to get used to this. Like we see it here in the ACC with Stanford and Clemson. Stanford and Cal. And it's like I'm thinking this year, oh my God, they're going to fly cross country and they got to stay on the East Coast, or they have to play Clemson the next weekend, because I know for a fact they're not going to go cross back to Stanford to go play, go back to school, and you saw it happened with Cal and Stanford. They kind of struggled in the ACC.
Oh, absolutely. And yet, I was thinking about, I did a story last year on what it takes for ASU or any team to get their equipment from one point to another. And the equipment manager from ASU had told me that what I was thinking about doing was running a storage unit on the East Coast and storing a lot of their football equipment there, because to go back and forth across the country is no cheap or small feat.
Right, exactly.
So I don't envy those schools at all.
Exactly, I agree. Well, Michelle, I know you just got there to Dallas, and I wanted you to have a great time tomorrow at Jerry World. And I have the Army game on right now, and Army just got another fumble, so they're up 14-0 on Tulane. So that's another team that should be in the college football playoff.
Well, I'm not.
Yeah.
Hey, Michelle. So, one more question. Do you think Ashton Gentry for Boise State deserves to win the Heisman after the year he's had?
He was on my ballot.
Okay.
We're not allowed to say who we voted for, but he was on my ballot. He's a very good player. And I think when you look at the top three players, I think any one of them, you could make an argument for any one of those three players. So I'll just leave it at that. I wish we could vote for more than three players, because I would love to put Cam Scadaboo on my Heisman ballot. I don't think he's one of the best three, but gosh golly, he is so fun to watch. And when you look at what he has done for this team, I don't know if there are a lot of teams that have a player that means that much to their team. So I love Scadaboo. Like I said, I wouldn't put him in the top three, but I'd put him in the top 7 or 8 players.
Exactly. Well, Michelle, have a great time tomorrow. Hopefully the weather's great there in Texas. And thank you for coming on the phone, and we'll talk soon.
Anytime.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
That's it. Bye. All right. That's Michelle Gardner, who covers Arizona State for the Arizona Republic. She's in Dallas. Right now, update, here it is. Army has a 14-0 lead on Tulane, and they just got their recovered a fumble. Tulane is having a hard time up there at West Point under the lights there. Looks like Bryson Daly, who we had on the program earlier this year, under center. Looks like he's pretty healthy after his health scare.
Yeah.
He has the football, and looks like he almost got the first down. So it's 4th and 1 with 8:42 left. Army is up 14-0.
Yeah. So Chris is called. This weekend is obviously we're here in Charlotte. For the ACC Championship game, and you asked Devil Sweetie a question earlier, and we played him. So from a Clemson perspective, we have on a couple people who are joining us. So we have Gary McDaniel joining us, and also our good friend Trevor Groves is joining us from CUTigers.com. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us tonight, and just talk about the year Clemson's had. Even though they have 3 losses, they were the second best team in the ACC, and they have a really good quarterback and play Clemson.
All right, who wants that first question? Let's go to Gary. Gary, thank you for coming on.
Hey guys, how you doing? Can you hear me? Got a little bit of a slag in the feed here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you too. We having Wi-Fi issues here in Charlotte, so don't worry about it. So, We're
Well,
doing
I'm
good.
here. I'm here locked up at CSN Central here at the house. So the Wi-Fi working just great over here. But yeah, I can address that. Question was about quarterback play. Was that what the question
Yes.
was, Chris?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. I'm optimistic about what I've seen this year from our guy, Cade Klubnik. He's at almost 3,100 yards, a 29-5 touchdown to interception ratio. Probably one of the better quarterbacks against the blitz. And again, all three of these areas a year ago were not in his favor. He threw like 9 picks a year ago. Had a real hard time against the blitz last year. That's when he suffered. I think he had the worst passing completion ratio against the blitz in Power 5 last year. And this year he's changed the whole narrative as far as that goes. If you want me to compare him to what's going to be on the field against him tomorrow, it's kind of hard to do. I kind of look at Jennings like a Klubnik a year ago, a guy that's learning in his shoes. This kid started out the year. I think they threw him in there at the end of the BYU game trying to win it, and ended up being his game after that. And I think he's transfixed this offense since then and made it his own. And I think it was just the right fit. He was the right octane gasoline for this offense when they put him in there. And he's been learning all year long. He's got all the tools, got all the tools. You got two really polished quarterbacks, and for Jennings, he's done it in a year, less than a year. But as far as Cade goes, I'm sure Trevor, when he chimes in, he'll tell you the same thing. He probably has some his own ideas about Cade. But man, I tell you, dude, a 29-4 ratio, and you guys have seen some of the plays he's made in games on his own with his feet. The way he's worked himself out in the run game, I think that all goes back to putting weight on and getting bigger in the offseason. And I think he's just got the pay attention to details. He's gotten that. But here's the thing about him, I will say. I think that Cade is more effective when you put him in a 2-minute offense and limit his options and make him think on his feet in a hurry. If you give him too much time, I think he outthinks himself still to this day. And I'll leave it there and let Trevor jump in.
Yeah, Trevor, welcome back to the show, bud. Happy holidays to you and your family. How's everybody? First of all, how's everybody in Frederick? How are you doing?
Same to you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You sound good. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not sure why my camera's not working. Sorry about that.
It's okay. We like to hear your voice in the middle of the in the biz. It's okay. It's good. Yeah, we're good.
Well, I tell you, I know being from Baltimore, Chris, you're used to these frigid temperatures.
It ain't that warm around here, Trevor. Believe me, when you come back here, you're going to be just as cold.
Back where?
In Clemson.
I'm in Clemson, man. It's 22 degrees down
here. I know. I thought you were in Maryland.
No. I'm still in Clemson. I'm driving to Charlotte tomorrow for the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a crazy day on Saturday. That was such a gut punch. The loss to the Gamecocks. It was a fantastic football game. I mean, as an objective observer. You had to appreciate what a fantastic college football game that was.
It took me back to Danny Ford days.
Yeah, I mean, low scoring, close.
That's what a Danny Ford football game looked like, guys, back in the 80s. That's exactly what Clemson football was.
Yeah, nice. But it's insane though. The Gamecocks 2 out of 3 years. They almost deprived Clemson of making the playoff. They did it 2 years ago. With a 1 point, same kind of game, came back in the fourth quarter to win the game late by 1 point, thanks to a couple fumbles by Clemson on special teams, and that loss to the Gamecocks, which which ended their 7-year win streak against the Gamecocks, that kept Clemson out of the playoff. They would have made the playoff if not for that loss, and then the other day on Saturday, that's only the Gamecocks' second win over the Tigers since 2013. But again, it felt like that was going to keep Clemson out of the playoff. Another loss in Death Valley to the Gamecocks. Dabo is since 2011. They were 144-4 when leading in the fourth quarter. And one of those 4 losses was the aforementioned loss 2 years ago to the Gamecocks and Spencer Rattler. And now it's 144-5. One of those losses was Alabama in the national championship. So
Yeah,
it was very depressing. Things looked very bleak after the game. We're waiting for Dabo for the press conference, and I'm keeping an eye on. You know, of course, it was a long wait because he was giving a long speech to a heartbroken locker room. But I'm keeping one eye on the Miami-Syracuse game. You know, in the hopes that Cuse can pull off the miracle upset. And it's 21-0 when Dabo takes the podium, and everyone's. I'm like, oh, all right, the Tigers are sunk. They're going to be playing in the Gator Bowl or the Cheez-It Bowl, and that's their season. By the time Dabo was finished, I think it was 21-14, and all of a sudden it was game on. After that game was over, I texted Dabo, and he texted back. He was like, never say never in college football is what he texted, and that's never been more true than this season. And I think that's the new college football era that we're going to be in. But getting back to Cade Klubnik, he had a great game against the Gamecocks. He really did. He had some incredible runs. He made some incredible downfield throws. He made 3 bad plays in my estimation that really cost him. He missed Bryant Wesco twice. The first of which would have been a touchdown on a slant, and the second of which was also on 3rd down, and so it was a big miss on the 3rd down that they had to, in the 4th quarter they had to turn the ball back over to the Gamecocks. And then of course the last play of the game, as Dabo said, it was just a poor decision on his part to make that short pass when they would have had to burn a timeout anyway had he caught the ball. But it was an ill-advised throw, and obviously that was the last play of the game. So, but other than that, I thought he had a tremendous game, and like Gary said, he had a tremendous season. He's come a long, long way since last year, and we all remember him being the MVP of the ACC Championship game against North Carolina 2 years ago. Was kind of his coming out party. And but last season he had his ups and downs. But that's how it goes when you're a first-year starter and you're 18, 19 years old. Right. I think those of us who have followed Clemson closely and like Dabo had faith in Cade and knew that he would take a big step forward this season.
Yeah, exactly. I asked Coach Sweeney today, about that Louisville game was heart-wrenching too. I was sitting at home watching that game in Baltimore, and I was like, well, they're done. And I thought you guys were finished.
Same here.
After that.
Same here.
I think we're losing you guys.
They're just phasing out there with their Wi-Fi.
Yeah, your Wi-Fi's going in there.
They're back. Hey guys,
here in Charlotte, so it's my.
That's one thing about Coach Sweeney, guys. You got to take note. They always rebound well after a loss, and Trevor can back me up on that. This is a football team that's very resilient, and it's got to do with the coaching staff and the culture that's built into this program. I mean, and the culture of winning. They're going to walk in tomorrow into Charlotte, and they've been there. They've got guys on this team. They've won an ACC title 2 years ago.
But that Louisville game, I'm not going to lie, I was shocked that coming out of a bye, and they have played badly out of a bye before in recent years.
But it's never been at home. It's always been on the road.
Exactly. That's the thing the fact that it was at home and the fact that they had played so well in the 6 games prior. That's just what shocked me.
They look totally unprepared. And the other thing is, I'll be honest with you. Breaking this team down, me and Trevor can go back and forth. You guys do that game. It showed a glaring weakness in our linebacker play and our depth right there at the linebacker level. I think those guys are getting worn out. They've been a lot of snaps that game.
They've been thin at linebacker all season.
Yeah, and it really got bad then. They lost McLeod that game.
Right, lost McLeod, and then Woodaz out for the Pittsburgh game for 2 games. Woodaz was out, and they had.
But that exposed Clemson right there. You could really take advantage of the linebackers in certain combinations, and that's why I've been screaming. And I just did our show a couple hours ago, and I screamed the same thing I screamed about the South Carolina game: 4-3 with Brown in the middle the entire game, and make them run it because they can run the football. Just like South Carolina can. If they establish the run, watch out. The playbook opens up. I think you got to take a weakness and make it a strength. And that way,
Sammy Brown has just gotten better and better and better. every time he sees the field, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from, Woodaz. Obviously, Barrett Carter, everybody's talking about Barrett Carter coming into the season.
It's not even the same. The ceiling for Brown is
sure.
is off the charts than it was for Carter coming in. Okay,
sure, but
I think Brown is a first day guy in the NFL when he leaves Clemson.
Oh, sure, but he's made the thing is he's made the most of his opportunity. I mean, he's barely short of the team lead in tackles, even though he's played like half the snaps as the other guys.
I bet his sack per snap ratio is probably the best in the country.
Oh, sure, yeah. I think I think he's only
he's
2 sacks
5.5 snaps, 5.5 sacks on the season.
Yeah, he's like 2. I think he's 2 behind TJ Parker, two or 3 behind TJ.
Parker's got 10.
Yeah, I mean that's and Sammy's played like 1/5 of the snaps that Parker has.
Right. So if that's if we want to break down the game a little more, I mean, you guys go ahead and ask those kind of questions. I hate to get ahead of us a little bit there, but just wanted to toss that stuff in there.
That's okay. I was going to ask you about with that Louisville game, plus you guys, with that Syracuse win, who's buying dinner? That's my question. Who's going to get a steak?
Oh, Dabo is going to be buying dinner, but he won't buy dinner. He'll just have the guys from the Smoking Pig Barbecue bring it up.
That guy in Syracuse needs a meal because he pulled off the.
He'll like the Smoking Pig.
Oh, Dabo said during his press conference the other day that
Graham Marshall.
If they win it all, he said Fran Brown's going to sit in the convertible with him at the parade.
And then have you guys, Chris? Have you guys been up there? Chris, have you ever been up there to the Loud Dome? Me and Trevor have been there together. I can't stand that place, but I knew what kind of atmosphere.
Yes, we were. I was there a couple years ago for Florida State.
I knew exactly what Miami was heading into, and I called it. I said I predicted it a couple weeks out. I knew it was happening.
Gary, my older brother's a Miami Hurricane fan, and he said to me last week, he was in the hospital, and he said to me, he goes, "I'm scared about playing in the dome." And I'm like, "Why are you scared playing in the dome?" He goes, "We don't play well in the dome."
No.
And that's historically goes back to the Big East days.
Yes.
That's historically.
That was basically the old Big
Don
East.
McNabb used to own those cats and they rolled up in there. I just be honest with you. It isn't the crowd. It's loud, but it's not crazy loud. Yes, Trevor. You go to Texas A&M and sit on the sidelines, you'll get loud, buddy. That's loud.
Oh, I believe that.
Right. Trevor's been standing right next to me on the sidelines at Texas A&M. That's loud.
Yeah.
That Syracuse place, it's just weird.
No. Don't. No, the dome does get loud when
it's just a weird vibe in there.
When it's a big game and their fans and they have the lead in the second half and their fans are amped up, it does get loud because that noise just gets trapped in there. Right. It's not like 110,000 at College Station. No.
Hey, what's funny? The Syracuse guys have got the best trick. They stick the opposing team's band in the second deck. You can't hear them or see them.
I have to say something. When I went to the Carrier Dome a couple years ago for Florida State Clemson, I thought I was walking into a hockey arena. The
biggest joke for years, it was called the Carrier Dome, which is an air conditioning company. But guess what? There's no air conditioning in that building anywhere.
Well, now they do. Now that Carrier is no longer their sponsor, they do have air conditioning. So.
I didn't make the last trip up there, and I'm sure Trevor did. They've got the worst post-game area for a coach I've ever seen. It's literally a broom closet under the bleachers.
And the press box is terrible.
I hate that place. It got and guess what? It's like the #1 journalism school in all of sports.
Right. Exactly.
Half of ESPN has graduated from Syracuse University.
Thank you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Chris, I have to ask you, Chris, real quick, since you said your brother is a Canes fan. How does that? Did you pick which one's older? Did you pick Florida State to spite him, or vice versa?
Well, here's a long story short. When I was a kid growing up, I was watching the Blockbuster Bowl between Penn State. I was like trying to get the fuzz out, and I'm like, and the quarterback for Florida State, I was a big Montana fan growing up because of the 49ers and Kansas City and all that stuff. And Chris Casey Weldon looked like Joe Montana. Looked like Joe Montana under the helmet. Montana had that facial expression, and I was a kid going, "That's Montana." No, it's not. And I just sat there and started watching Florida State football. And Trevor, if you call my mother and ask her, when did my bedroom change? She told me right after the Blockbuster Bowl.
Yeah.
Because she said everything started changing to Florida State. Like, you painted the walls from white to I had yellow in my room because I thought yellow was cool. and then
That became Garnet and Gold.
yeah, and then I just became a Florida State fan, and Will was a Miami fan since the days of that Cotton Bowl between Miami and Texas when they had the 16,000 penalties against Texas.
Yeah. That was the guns running down the tunnel. Who was that?
Yes.
So that's when he started. Because I asked him one time, I was like, "When did you start rooting for Miami?" He goes, "The Cotton Bowl when we had like 80,000 penalties, and I love the colors because it's St. Patty's colors if you look at it."
Irish, very Irish.
Yeah, so that's how. And the funny thing is about my older brother and my little brother became a Gators fan because he hated both of us.
So let me get this straight: the brothers, all three brothers, have liked different schools in Florida, but none of you live in Florida.
Florida State or Florida or Miami.
You guys are all from Baltimore, though, right?
Well, we're from New York. From
New York. I'm just saying, none of you are living in Florida, but all three of you pick schools in Florida. But again, you guys are an absolute anomaly. I bet Thanksgiving with you guys is just too much fun.
Easter was fun. Gary. Easter was fun because my mother looked at us one time because we were trash talking, all three of us. My mom goes, "It's Easter Sunday.
Shut up.
Stop it.
Shut up.
Okay, we're not talking trash on Easter Sunday."
That is just awesome.
It's called respect. I mean, and I can say this, I live in Western North Carolina, and I can say I see so many Clemson Tiger fans, sporting the hats and shirts, and it's like,
it's a hop and a skip away from here, my friend. You're 30 minutes away. I mean, you're inside. You're in the perimeters of all these Clemson grads that leave out of here and they either go up I-26 or I-85. You know what I'm saying?
That's where they live. Why do you think Dabo is 8-0?
26, yeah. And it's
Dabo is 8-0 in Bank of America Stadium in the ACC championships. It's not just because they have great, that much better teams, but it also helps that they have a home crowd every single time.
That was one of the factors I put into one of my prediction was that, it's the short drive up at I-85, and then those other guys are coming all the way from Texas. That's a loyal fan base, but I mean, you can't fly over 20,000.
Gary, we flew in today, and we were I was picking Adam at the airport, and we saw 4 or 5 SMU fans, and one guy goes, "I'm from Arkansas."
Yeah, well, that's 4 or 5 out of about 2,000 they're going to have.
Well, I mean, I'll give you a good example. A few years ago, we played Miami in the ACC title game. It was their first appearance in the game, and everybody was, talking Miami fans because you know how Miami fans are. They don't have to come out. They come out of the woodwork whenever they win, and I don't care what part of the country you are in. Okay, they'll come out of the woodwork in any part of the country. They'll break out their Miami jersey. It's been sitting in there for 30 years, and they'll just show up. So we get to Charlotte that night, and I was actually working for Trevor at the time. I was Trevor's recruiting coordinator, and I was actually in the music business, so I was on tour, and I missed it. My photographer at the time, his photographer was my girlfriend, and she was covering a game with Trevor down on the field. I was in the stands in the club level having drinks. I'm watching the game and talking to Miami fans, and it was amazing to see that they had the ability to fill up, to really show up, and they didn't. Their first ever appearance, and I mean, Trevor will tell you, it was, I'd say 70-30 or 65-35 Clemson. And Miami's national appeal. I mean, Miami can go play anywhere. Okay, they played in Syracuse, and you could hear the Miami fans that showed up. And they weren't traveling from Miami. I can guarantee you they were from the New York area coming to see the game, breaking out their old jerseys from the 90s. So that's what you got. You got fair weather fans, bandwagon fans hopping on and off. But I don't think SMU, even though they have real fans that will travel, you got a lot of money. Their alumni's got cash. You know that because of all the oil money and stuff down there.
But are there 40,000 of those guys?
Correct.
I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. You got it, Trevor. Good. That's the whole point. I don't think there's. It's just too much. It's too simple for somebody in Clemson tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, wake up in the morning, and go. You know what, guys? Tickets are what $100 a pop. Let's just go to the game. Hop in the car and go. And it can happen. That's not happening in Dallas right now. You just can't jump on a plane tomorrow morning and hop into Charlotte, So the crowd will be a big factor. But, they played against other teams. They played against Louisville at home. Louisville's got a good little raucous crowd. At least in the first half, they'll be loud there. I've been there. They played on the road against who else did they go on the road?
They should have lost
that Cal game. Duke. They should have lost that game if it wasn't for a bad kicker.
Yep, they should have lost. They had 6 turnovers, and Duke didn't score a single point off any other turnovers.
And that kicker lost the game for them. That was in my show earlier tonight. I brought up the Duke game, and that they run a similar defense as the Clemson does, a 4-2-5, a 3-3-5 at times, and they gave these guys a hard time. They didn't just run up and down the field all night long on Duke like they did the rest of the teams they played this year. It wasn't a shootout. It was one of those games that was kind of split up into quarter by quarter, 7 points here, 7 points there. It wasn't, hey, let's go run 21 points up and then try and hold on. It didn't happen that way. It was like 7. It was a back and forth game. And I compare that defensive scheme to what Clemson's able to run with the personnel that they have available now. A lot of injuries. Trevor will tell you, the defensive line has been chewed up all year long. The offensive line has been chewed up, but the defensive line has not been able to get cohesive at all.
No.
They're just putting it's patchwork guys popping in. And again, man, people don't realize the defensive line, like the offensive line, you need to know what the guy next to you is doing at all times.
Here's the thing, though, guys. A lot of people have been talking about Clemson's defense, and Wes Goodwin's, under a lot of pressure because, he's not Brent Venables. And statistically, they're not – Clemson fans are used to their defense every year being in the top 10 every year in every defensive category. Sacks, third down conversions.
It's tackles for loss and third down conversions. Those are the ones that matter.
Right. But, they're not – they don't have those numbers this year. But I will say this. They held the Gamecocks to 7 points until the last, 7-8 minutes of the game? 7.
Yeah.
And the Gamecocks put up a bunch of points in Tuscaloosa against Alabama. They put up a ton of points in Norman, Oklahoma.
They put up points against LSU.
At Kentucky on the road.
Look what they did to Texas A&M.
A&M. They put in LSU. I mean, all those defense.
Hey, I get it. But here's what happens.
SEC defenses.
Hey, but Trevor, what happens is like I do. Dabo has got the old Danny Ford in him. Sometimes he plays up or down to his opponent. And I saw that in the game plan last week, and I know you did too. After we got up for a minute, they started playing conservative and started milking clock, and I just didn't get it. I mean, I don't know what you saw. That's kind of what I felt. And it happens at times, but that was a game where you throw the books out. It was the rivalry. You're going to play whatever happens. It could have been a 35-31 shootout or a 17-14. It was one of them games. It's going to happen.
Not only that, but I mean, that's a really good South Carolina defensive line. And let me
say
this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And let me say this, that one of the big positives I took out of that game was that Clemson's offensive line, even though banged up and they've got guys playing out of position all over the place, they did a great job protecting Cade in the pass.
Well, they gave up 1 sack, but the game plan at the beginning of the game was to get the ball out quick, and you saw that. It was just 2 shots go. But he was able to go downfield. Well. Oh, absolutely. I agree 110%. But you did have 2 guys in Lee and
Tate was back.
Both of them coming back. So your left side of your line, solidifies. Now, how that transfers into this week, because, I mean, the linebacker core for these guys is active, and they blitz like a madman.
Well, they're number 4 against the run, but they're 85th against the pass. So
that's why I said I said you throw it long. You have to go, and you got to go. You got to take advantage of Tyler Brown coming into the lineup.
And they play
Tyler Brown comes back,
and they play tons of man coverage. So the opportunities for one-on-one balls are going to be there for Wesco and Moore. So absolutely, you got to take a bunch
Here's the
shots.
thing: I think you got to go 5 wide. I think you need to lose the running back, and you go 5 wide at times. And you want to have Brown and you want to have Williams together on the field at the same time with Moore and Wesco. Then you got nightmares created. They can't double anybody at that point. And then you got Brenny still sitting off to the side, another nightmare.
And don't forget about Cole Turner either, who, he's made a couple plays here and there, but don't forget 2 years ago in Charlotte, he made that incredible catch for what was
got you. He's straight line speed. I want somebody that can jitterbug his way inside that secondary. And that's what you got in Brown and Williams. They can sit inside the zones and make things happen and find open spaces. And that's what you need. Guys with quick feet that can turn around and find the football.
Exactly. Well,
and that just sets the outside guys up, by the way. So, because if you hit that, all of a sudden those safeties are creeping in, looking for it, and boom, over the top you go.
Well, one more point I want to make before I know we're running out of time here, but watch the turnover margin because Clemson's number 5 in the nation in turnover margin, and what do I write down? I can't read without my reading glasses. Number 54. SMU. So
I'm with you 110%.
Knock on wood. That's been the biggest
analytics
difference.
Point that way, but guess what? We were 3-1 last week and lost.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, that's few and far between.
It's rare. It's rare.
They did have 2 turnovers on downs as well. I mean, I know those don't count as turnovers officially, but I don't know. By the way, let's real quick. I don't know how SMU is the number 5 scoring offense in the country. They must score a lot on defense because if you look at their passing offense isn't ranked that high. Their rushing offense isn't ranked that high. Their total offense is only like 29 or 30 or something like that. I don't know how they're. And you look at
they've had several kickoff returns, and they've had quite a few defensive scores. And earlier in the season, they had quite a few defensive scores. I'm pretty sure.
That's how they're number 5 in scoring offense, even though they're all, from a yardage standpoint.
All right, we're gonna let you guys go. Yeah, we're having internet issues here, so we'll see you all tomorrow. Okay.
See you tomorrow, man.
All right, guys.
All right.
Have a good night.
See you guys. Thanks, guys, for coming on.
Bye.
I see it. Bye. All right, that's Gary McDaniels and Trevor Groves joining us from down there in Clemson. Sorry about the audio issues we're having.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're in the Wi-Fi here at the state here at the hotel. Let's bring in Mike Gross, who will be for Penn State. Hi, Mike. Happy holidays.
Hi, guys. How you doing? Yeah, sorry I missed you there. I am having some issues with passwords and things, and
Yeah, good.
Sorry about that. But anyway, here we are. What do you got?
Well, we'll say tomorrow it's Penn State against Oregon. Penn State snuck in to the Big Ten championship game because of the they lost Ohio State losing to Michigan, and I think Ohio State had more fight in them after the game than the game.
Yeah.
So what's your take on? You were up there in State College watching the Terrapins. They scored 7 points on you early, and then it was done after that because Penn State took over. What's your take on Penn State against Oregon?
Well, Penn State has done a really good job of finding ways to win, but I really don't think. If you look at this season compared to last season, the difference is there's no second team on the schedule like Michigan in 2023. I don't see much other difference from last year to this year. So I think Penn State is a real underdog going into this game on tomorrow. I'm impressed with Oregon, and it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot because they didn't expect to be here, and it's also a tough spot because if they lose decisively, it could impact their seeding. I think they would have to lose pretty decisively for it to really matter a lot. But Penn State has an excellent defense. I think that keeps them in the game. I certainly don't think they get blown out. But I love Oregon's quarterback. I think they're really good in the trenches. They recruited at a really high level, so they're overall very, very athletic. And I think it's a tough test for Penn State.
I do too. Yeah,
I agree.
And over the years we've seen James Franklin cannot win the big games. We see obviously we know about Ohio State. So could this be the game that James Franklin finally wins a big game tomorrow in Indianapolis against the top, against number 1 ranked?
Well, yeah, the number 1 team for conference championship. I would say that's a big game. Yeah, they can win it. Sure, they can win it. I mean, they've got some weapons, and they've got, there's tight end Tyler Warren, who's a tremendous player, and they have not been able to really consistently stretch the field with the wide receivers. Their wide receivers are not very good. Even though their quarterback has had a real solid year in terms of efficiency and everything, and he's an excellent player as he was expected to be. He was a huge recruit, and they haven't really steamrolled people like in the running game the way they did a couple times last year. Now, part of that may be that Nick Singleton, the running back, has not been healthy, and I think he is as close as he's been to 100% all year. So he could be a key figure tomorrow. Yeah, they can win. Sure, they can win. I mean, the spread opened at 3, went to 3.5. That tells me Las Vegas thinks it's a pretty close game.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. These two teams haven't played each other since 1995 at the Rose Bowl. Did you cover that game years ago and back in 1995?
No, that's a little before my time covering the team. I didn't really. I started going to some games in 2001, and I really did it full time, going on the road and doing all the during the week stuff in 2005, which was a very memorable season for Penn State when they came out of the doldrums and won the Big Ten and went to the Orange Bowl and beat Florida State in overtime.
Okay, that's true. That Orange Bowl game was really classic. I remember staying up late watching that game because I'm a big Florida
that
State
was
guy. And I
that was the
remember seeing
most yeah.
that game was a classic.
From a
Yes, I
sports
remember.
writer standpoint, that was the most brutal game in terms of deadline that I've ever experienced. We had newspapers all over Pennsylvania stopping the presses for that one. It was multiple overtimes, and it was multiple situations where if this dude makes his field goal here, the game's over and we got our story. And if he doesn't, then it's at least another 20 minutes until we have anything. You know, it was like that. But anyway, yeah, Penn State actually, that was the year of the Vince Young Texas team against USC for the national championship. Penn State finished third. Penn State finished third in the country that year and lost by one or 2 points in somewhat controversial circumstances at Michigan, or they would have been in the debate with the Vince Young and the Reggie Bush team. I really don't think they were as good as either of those teams, but, you know, they would have been undefeated.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, we're having a little internet issues down here. We're in Charlotte with the hotel here, and I guess the Wi-Fi is like acting up. So, let's
like
go.
you guys
But
are
yeah, we'd love to get you on next Thursday when I'm back home in Cockeysville when we have a better Wi-Fi because we work on it at our place.
Oh, okay, sure, guys. And again,
Yeah.
the Outlook thing here is really weird, and I'm going to try to fix that right now.
Okay.
I've been
Well, we
unsuccessful,
appreciate you coming on.
so I'm sorry I was late to you.
Oh,
but
okay.
hey, have
We're all
fun.
good.
Have fun tomorrow. I hope that's a good game. I think it will be, and I hope mine's good too.
Yeah, see, we're having. Yeah, so let you go, but we'll talk to you on next Thursday, okay?
I can do that. Yeah. Thanks, fellas.
Thank you so much. I'll see
All
you.
righty.
Bye.
See you. Yep.
Yeah, sorry about that, folks. We're having Wi-Fi issues here. Let's bring Billy Koch in, and hopefully this thing is going to work here.
Yeah.
So, Billy, we're having a little Wi-Fi issue. I know you're at the arena. So, how's your Wi-Fi?
Pretty good so far. At Bryant University, just finished up a basketball game.
Nice.
So long as the campus internet holds out, I should be fine.
Yeah, we're down here at the hotel down here. It's a nice hotel. We were here in the summer, and we didn't have any issues. But I guess a lot of people are here this weekend for some apparent reason for some football game. So I guess it's like stuck in the internet. You know?
Yeah.
So we had your coach on, Coach Fleming, on by phone this evening, and he's down there in Georgia. He's loving the weather. He thinks it's freaking Florida down there after it's like 50. We had 20 or 30 degrees wind chill.
That's right.
But let's talk about this Rhode Island team. They beat Central Connecticut last week at a home game, their first home win since I guess back in 1985. And him and I were looking at the top songs. It was a Part-Time Lover from Stevie Wonder back in '85, and Mr. Big with Broken Wings or something like that. Yeah. So it's been a long time since Rhode Island was reveling it.
Yeah, they've been chasing that for a long time, and I'm happy for Jim Fleming and his program, the administration at URI, obviously, because it's not easy to break through, certainly, and football is unique that way because it takes classes, it takes so many players to get there. But these guys are resilient. I mean, their two losses are Minnesota and Delaware. You're talking about a Big Ten program, and another one that's transitioning up to FBS. So, tough team, resilient team. They've come from behind. A handful of times in the fourth quarter to win. Regardless of how talented Mercer is, these guys will be a tough out tomorrow.
Yeah. I got to say something. I didn't realize, the old Rhode Island coach before Coach Fleming, or I think it's before the other guy. He's actually the coach down in New Orleans with the Saints. And I was watching the highlights the other night. I'm like, I know that guy. I had him on my program back when he was a nobody. So I guess he made it through the ranks there in the pro level. So it's pretty funny that I've been following this program since that guy, I forget, Daryl Ritchie or something like that, or Riggy or whatever, to now Coach Fleming, because I remember Joe Traynor was there too. And one cool fact about Joe Traynor, him and I both have the same birthday. So it's like, we both text each other like, happy birthday, bud. And I'm like, you too, bud. Yeah. So, it's pretty cool, but it's great to see this program here in the CAA doing well since the days we started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Darren Rizzi. He was an All-American tight end at URI, spent 1 year as head coach, and, has been in the NFL for a long time. And, now he's getting his shot as an interim head with the Saints. obviously that generated a lot of excitement here.
Please bear with us. Yeah, we're having that. I guess everybody's here in this building. Yeah. So
Sure.
yeah. So we're trying to make it short and sweet because I know we have people coming up here and we're trying to make sure we got people, on the internet. But so with this game coming down here against Mercer, do you think they have an opportunity to pull off a nice win and keep this thing going to the quarterfinals?
Well, it depends on offensively whether or not they're going to be able to run the ball against the number one rush defense in FCS. Mercer's front seven's really good. URI the last 2 weeks has really leaned on Malik Grant. He's had a couple 200-yard games in a row. He's the first running back in URI history to rush for 200 yards in 2 consecutive weeks. Their offensive line had a lot of turnover in graduation and has performed well. Offensively, you wonder about the quarterback, Hunter Helms. He's the second stringer. Devin Farrell was much more dangerous, much more explosive, both throwing the ball and especially running the ball. So, that helps Mercer from a game plan perspective. But, expect URI to use a heavy dose of the game plan they've used the last 2 weeks against Bryan and Central Connecticut, and that's probably keep it on the ground, control the clock, and lean on their own front seven on defense.
Exactly. So you were there at the basketball game against Bryan. So Bryan, you guys are in Rhode Island's not in the CAA for basketball. So it's pretty funny that you're playing a conference foe that's in football. They look pretty good, Bryan University, because I know they're going to be taking on Towson later this year here in the CAA.
Yeah, Bryant tonight played Brown. That was another in-state game. URI plays Providence tomorrow in the big in-state game, the big rivalry game up here. So I'll be there on Saturday. But Bryant is a good team. Good team in America East. They've got a couple decent wins out of conference and a couple real challenges coming up with St. John's and a few others.
That's cool. Well, Billy, let me let you go, but thank you so much for coming on tonight from the arena. We're sorry that our internet down here at this hotel is a beautiful place, and we appreciate them for their amenities. But I guess when you have everybody on the Wi-Fi, it kind of sucks the juice out. So, but we'd love to get you on, later in the year when for basketball, and we'll love to get you back on.
Sure thing, guys. Safe travels. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, talk to you soon. So sorry, Billy. Sorry, guys. We're having Wi-Fi issues here. We're trying to get to our big guest at 9:45 without a problem.
Yeah. It's kind of technology wonderful, folks, and I will say that we have an update for you guys on
Hold on. Let me bring this up here.
We have an update, not only from the American Athletic Conference, but also the Mountain West Conference. Boise State is telling everyone that they are no joke, and they are leading UNLV 21-0.
And you see the score here. Army has a 21-7 lead over Tulane, starting the second half up there in West Point. So Army is basically 30 minutes away from a title.
Yeah, that's right. First year in the AAC, and they could win. They could win the American Athletic Conference Championship, and.
Well, we do have some more interviews we have to finish. We got to play your interview. We heard a rumor today down here in Charlotte, getting off the plane, and I was at the watching it on TV on the NFL Network. The AP was reporting that Bill Belichick, the Hood, could go to Chapel Hill to be the head coach for the Tar Heels of North Carolina. Here's my question with that. You asked Gavin Sweeney during the press conference if Bill Belichick goes to North Carolina, do you think his buddy Nick Saban will get rid of the TV broadcast and become his offensive coordinator?
That's a good question. When I heard the news, I was like, it has to be a joke or something. Like Chris said, I asked Gavin Sweeney about this news, and here's what he had to say.
Go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Adam Limeris, Herb FM Sports Radio. Just talk about the news that you probably heard about. Bill Belichick has applied to become the next head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels.
I don't know. I don't know much about it. that would be that'd be quite a story. So that's about all I know. I don't have any other comment on that.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
So, I mean, we've seen NFL coaches, go to college. So
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick is up there in age, though. But look at Mac Brown. He was up there in age, and it was sad to see him go, Chris. I enjoyed him in North Carolina, and hopefully he'll find a job either in broadcasting, which he has done in the past, or another head coaching.
Well, he might go back to the ESPN network. You
Yeah.
never know.
I mean,
if he wants to do that, but I think he tried, to coach, in North Carolina after a long way from the game, because he was at TV for a while.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He was. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's play some music in the background. We can talk about Clemson. SMU is looking for their first 12-win season since 1935. We were talking about the top songs. Here's one of them. Hopefully this will work.
Like I said, in technology and football.
So this is Mr. Yeah. Back in the day when it was
Don't understand why we can't just hold on to each other's hands. This time might be the last.
So let's turn this on, and then we had this song. We're waiting for Chris Lane to joining us shortly here at 9:45. Hopefully we'll log in here. We had this song back in 1985. Let's play that. That was September 11th. New album. So let's do the update here. Jacksonville State 38 album. From Hater not doing the so hopefully people enjoy it. We're having fun. So we're having internet issues, so please bear with us there. So so with the college football playoff, looks like Boise State, Oregon State, SMU, and Texas. So if Boise State wins, they will host a quarterfinal game. Looks like they're not even giving Clemson a shot in the ACC
it's like, and don't forget, for Sunday at noon on ESPN. It'll be the final rankings of the 12-team college football playoff bracket reveal. And last year we had controversy with 4, and yes, folks, we're gonna have it with 12.
Yeah, we're gonna have somebody left down, and somebody's gonna be whining.
Someone's gonna be whining and mad like Florida State was last year, since they didn't get it and Alabama did.
Yeah, that's
you're
true.
gonna have.
So tomorrow night we're going to be down at Charlotte. You see in the background of the stadium. There. We took that years ago, or we borrowed it from so many years ago.
Yes,
so tomorrow night, we'll see the forecast here. Charlotte forecast. Yeah, we're trying to.
Well, you know,
Yeah, let's go to the weather.
warm tomorrow.
Hopefully. Oh, here it is. So let's bring in our next guest. This guy is a familiar to this area.
Yeah.
He'll be down in the right across the street from
At the ACC Fan Fest, he has worked with some great people in his time. He played college baseball at UNC Charlotte, and kind of if you've never listened to his music, I highly recommend it. So joining us now is a fellow North Carolinian from Kernersville, North Carolina, which I know that is. Country music superstar Chris Lane is joining us. So, Chris, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I am a fan of country music, and I love your music. So, you've worked with such people as Florida Georgia Line and Brantley Gilbert and Brad Petty. So, what was it like to be with those folks? At their concert.
Man, it was great. Obviously, early in my career, coming over from North Carolina, moving to Nashville, getting a record deal, all that kind of stuff, was incredibly exciting for a small town Kernersville guy who had really never been outside of that, outside of traveling for college baseball there at UNC Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
I went from never playing music in my entire life to starting a band after I graduated college, and it's crazy how it worked out. Once I finally got to Nashville, Florida Georgia Line at the time kind of took me under their wing, took me out on so many tours, alongside Rascal Flatts, Brad Paisley, just to name a few. So a pretty incredible way to start my career, no doubt.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's like, you will be with Rascal Flatts on their reunion tour next year with Lauren Ayala. So what will it be like to perform with Rascal Flatts and Lauren?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I got to tour Rascal Flatts back in 2017, really got to know those guys. Was supposed to be on their farewell tour back in 2020, and then COVID hit and canceled that. So very excited that they are having me out on their reunion tour, 25th anniversary.
Wow.
It's going to be incredible. There's going to be lots of golf involved before the shows and some fun nights.
Thanks. Well, Chris, thanks for coming on the program. I know you're a big North Carolina Tar Heel fan. We got to ask you a question about. We heard today. I flew in from Baltimore, and you were just up in Baltimore the other night, right?
Yeah, I played in Baltimore last night. Flew back over to Nashville, and then going to head over to Charlotte first thing in the morning.
Oh wow! So what was it like playing at Rams Head Live? Because I didn't realize you were there until I was.
Oh yeah, so apparently it's their last.
But yeah, so just talk about playing in Baltimore, because Baltimore is a great country town because we have WPOC and all that stuff. So what is it like? Well, how was the crowd last night?
Crowd was incredible, man. In fact, I played at the Rams Head quite a few times when I was coming up through. On my first headlining tour. That was one of the first places I played, believe it or not.
Nice.
So last night was the radio show there for WPOC, and there were a few other artists that were on that. So we just showed up with our acoustics and kind of did storytellers behind the song, which was fun, and it's a different style show. But apparently last night was the Rams Head. It was their last show ever. They're shutting down, and
yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we ended it with a bang, man. It was a fun night.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I have to give, I live in Western North Carolina, so our radio station out there is 99.9 Kiss Country, and they actually won a Small Market of the Year for at CMA Music Awards.
Let's go.
And obviously, we went through Hurricane Helene, and have to give a special shout out to Eddie and Amanda Fox, who do a great job Monday through Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. on 99.9 Country. So
absolutely
with what they do. So So, what will it be like for you to perform at ACC Fan Fest tomorrow night here in Charlotte?
Yeah, man, I'm a huge football fan in general, and I think country music and football are my two favorite things in this world. So bringing them together for one big night is going to be a lot of fun. And I just so happen to be a huge Clemson football fan. Always have been ever since I was growing up, and I'm a big believer in Dabo. So I'm hoping that we'll pull a win out tomorrow night and then make a little run in the playoffs.
Yeah, we'll ask him a question for you. So if you have a chance to ask Dabo Sweeney a question, what is the one question you want to ask him?
Wow. What question would I ask him? Why are we I'm trying to think of what I would ask him. There's probably lots of things I would ask him. I would ask him if I could become an adopted son of his.
That's a good one, Chris.
We'll ask him that after the title game. Hey, we got a new kid. He wants to be adopted.
Yeah.
And then I would say, why are we number? I was going to say, then I would ask him, why are we number 35? Number 35 in the recruiting class next year. I think I lost you.
Shortly.
I think
we're in a hotel here in Charlotte, and the Wi-Fi is not great here.
No.
So we do apologize for that.
Yeah, it's got,
no worries.
Yeah, it's got,
did you hear what I said?
Yeah. At first thing we heard, you want to be an adopted child. What's the second one?
The second one, I said I would ask him, why are we number 35 in the recruiting class for next year?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, since you played college baseball at Charlotte, is there a special memory you have, when you were playing college baseball?
Oh yeah. So my senior year was the first year that our brand new stadium had opened up, and to this day, I'll forever hold this record. But I hit the first home run in the new stadium.
Nice.
Cool.
So that was a really good memory, and one that I'll have for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So how's it like hitting a home run? Because I played baseball myself, and I had a week. I was like literally 7 for 7, and I had to go on a European tour because I was singing in a choir. And my dad still today goes, "Where were you that whole week?" I was like, "I went on vacation, Dad." He goes,
"Yeah."
He's like, "Yeah, you were our offense for the entire." Speaking of batter, they start knowing you, and then the following week when I got into the batter's box, they started walking me like I was Frank Thomas. Yeah, I was like, this is cool. And then the guy actually threw one down the plate, and I fouled it. A liner right down foul, right field line. Almost down, almost a home run where we were.
Yeah.
And I was like, the guy goes, I'm just gonna walk him. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine with me.
That's incredible.
Now, since you like Clemson football, do you have a favorite NFL team?
I'm a diehard Carolina Panther fan, man.
Nice.
It's been a tough couple of years.
Yes.
But yeah, you know what? I always keep the faith. Obviously, I've kind of lost it for this year, but there's always next year.
That's right.
Exactly. Well, tomorrow night you're going to be playing at FanFest. So, is there any? You're just going to play your hits pretty much, and you're going to have a good crowd. Hopefully, people there to see you. It's free.
Oh yeah.
So people don't realize it's free, right?
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I think we're going to have a great
free.
crowd. Everybody dressed warm, and it's going to be a fun night.
Yeah, and there's a lot of food trucks. We went there today, and there's a food truck that has a great brick oven pizza. And the story goes, they bought the truck from Steve Harvey, the guy from Family Feud.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Enjoy. Have
try
a
some
great
of those.
Yeah.
So try there. We're going to let you go. We're having Wi-Fi issues here in Charlotte because there's
no worries, brother.
Yeah,
thanks for having me on, y'all.
No problem. We'd love to get you on another time down the road. Okay.
Let's do it, man. Heck yeah.
All right, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, see you,
buddy.
man.
I
Yeah.
see it. All right, that's Chris Lane. We do apologize to the country singers, listeners out there who we're having Wi-Fi issues here.
It's called. So we will have the Army press conference on.
Well, hopefully this Wi-Fi is going to be okay.
Yeah,
but,
and then
we might replay it tomorrow probably.
Yeah, and then next Thursday night
yes,
we'll be on at
6:30.
At 6:30, debriefing the ACC championship game. Talking about the bracket revealing and who got snubbed and what else. And
yep.
So.
Well, we want to say thank you to all our guests tonight.
Yeah.
Sorry, we do apologize if you tuned in and we're having Wi-Fi issues here. But thank you for Chris Lane for joining us, Gary McDaniels, and Trevor Grove, and Mr. Coach Fleming and Coach Keeler joining us as well. We'll see you on next Thursday at 6:30. We're going to go eat. That's the plan.
Yeah, it's called we're hungry, so it's like there's a Waffle House.
Next week we'll be previewing the Army Navy game because right now Army's up 21-6. I don't think we have anything exciting, so we'll just play Part-Time Lover in the background here.
There you go. Yeah, so
Have a good night, everybody. Good Part-Time Lover.